I, 34M, think my wife, 32F, has been lying to me for months, and I'm starting to lose my grip on what's real. Okay, I never thought I'd be the guy posting here, but I genuinely don't know what to think anymore. We've been married for 6 years. No kids. For most of that time, things were not perfect but stable. She's always been a bit sharp-tongued, like, she'll snap or shut down during arguments, but I used to brush it off as just her personality. I'm more of the quiet, fix-it type, so I guess we balanced each other out. Or at least, that's what I told myself. Looking back now, I think the first signs were subtle. Small lies. Stuff that didn't quite add up, but also didn't seem worth fighting over. Like saying she was out with a friend, but then mentioning something later that didn't match. Or insisting she told me something when I know she didn't. Every time I brought it up, she'd flip it on me. You're imagining things. You never listen. Why are you trying to start a fight? And yeah, after a while I started doubting myself. But over the past couple months, something shifted. It's like she's been living a completely separate life. Emotionally checked out at home, constantly on her phone, guarding it like it's classified information. If I walk into the room, she tilts the screen away. If I ask who she's texting, I get a vague, just people or straight-up irritation. Last week, she came home at 2 a.m. and said her phone died so she couldn't text me. Except, when she got into bed, I saw the screen light up, battery at 47%. That was the moment something in my chest just dropped. I didn't say anything then. I just lay there, staring at the ceiling, feeling like I was slowly becoming a stranger in my own marriage. And I think that's when I realized this isn't just her being difficult anymore. Something is very, very wrong. So yeah, after that night with the dead phone that magically had 47% battery, I couldn't just let it go. I tried for like 2 days. But once you notice something like that, it's like your brain refuses to shut up. Every little detail starts feeling loaded. Every pause, every glance at her phone, every weird shift in tone. It all starts stacking up, and she changed. Fast. She started taking her phone everywhere. Bathroom, shower, even just grabbing a glass of water, phone in hand. Notifications were suddenly on silent. She angled the screen away even more aggressively, like it was muscle memory. I tested something stupid one night. I casually walked past her while she was texting and said, "Hey, what's up?" In a normal tone. She jumped, like actually flinched, then immediately snapped. "Can you not sneak up on me like that?" Jesus. Sneak up? I was literally walking down the hallway in my own house. That's when the paranoia really kicked in. But here's where things get messy. 3 days later, she tells me she's going out for drinks with Anna. Cool, fine, whatever. I even said, "Tell Anna I said hi." She pauses for like half a second, barely noticeable, then goes, "Yeah, sure." That pause stuck with me. I don't know why. It just did. Around 11 p.m., I text her, "How's Anna?" No response. Midnight, still nothing. At 1 a.m., I call. Straight to voicemail. Now I'm sitting there, wide awake, heart pounding, trying to convince myself I'm overreacting, but also remembering the last time she said her phone died. So I did something I've never done before. I texted Anna. Simple message, "Hey, hope you guys are having fun." She's not answering, just checking she's okay. Anna replied almost immediately, "Wait, what? I'm at home. I'm not with her." I just stared at the screen for a solid minute. Like, full-on, cold, silent, what the hell is happening kind of stare. My hands actually started shaking, because at that point it wasn't a suspicion anymore. It was a lie. A clear, undeniable, no way to explain it away lie. And the worst part? When she finally came home around 2:30 a.m., she walked in like nothing happened. No apology. No explanation. Just, "Why are you still up?" That's when I realized, whatever this is, she's been doing it long enough to get comfortable. And I'm just now catching up. Didn't confront her that night. I know that probably sounds weak, but I was overwhelmed. My brain was going in 100 directions at once. Part of me wanted to explode, Part of me wanted to pretend I didn't know anything yet. So I just said, couldn't sleep, and watched her. She rolled her eyes, tossed her bag on the chair, and went straight to the bathroom, with her phone, obviously. I sat there in the dark, replaying Anna's message over and over. I'm at home. I'm not with her. There's no misunderstanding there. No gray area. Just a straight-up lie. When she came back out, I asked as casually as I could, "So, how's Anna doing?" She didn't even hesitate. "She's good. Work's been stressing her out, but you know how she is. Like full detail. Fully committed." That's when something inside me shifted. Because it wasn't just that she lied, it was how easily she lied. No stutter, no guilt, no pause. Just smooth like she'd rehearsed it. I nodded, played along. Yeah, she's always been like that. And inside I felt sick. The next morning, she acted completely normal. Made coffee, scrolled her phone, even asked me if I wanted to watch something later like we used to. It was surreal. Like I was living in two different realities at the same time. But I couldn't let it go. So while she was in the shower, I did something I've never done in our entire relationship. Picked up her phone. And of course, locked. I knew the old passcode. Tried it. Didn't work. Tried a couple variations. Nothing. That alone felt like another punch to the gut. She's never changed it before. Not in 6 years. I put the phone back exactly where it was. Sat down on the edge of the bed. And just stared at the floor. That's when I noticed something else. Her bag was slightly open. And inside, I could see a second phone. At first, my brain didn't even process it. I literally thought, why does she have two? Like it was something normal. Then it hit me all at once. I reached in, pulled it out. Cheap model. Burner vibes. No case. My heart was pounding so loud I could hear it in my ears. I pressed the power button. Screen lit up instantly. No lock. Just a messaging app already open. And at the top of the screen, a conversation with a name I didn't recognize. Last message, sent maybe 20 minutes before she got home. Miss you already. Tonight was worth every risk. I swear to God, my entire body went cold. Like, not even anger yet. Just this heavy, sinking feeling in my chest. Because in that moment I knew, this wasn't just lying. This was something way deeper. And I was standing right on the edge of it. I wish I could say I handled what I saw calmly. I didn't. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped the phone. I just stood there, staring at that message like it might somehow change if I blinked enough times. Tonight was worth every risk. What risk? My brain filled in the blanks instantly, and none of them were good. I should have put the phone back. I should have pretended I didn't see it and figured out a smarter way to deal with this. Instead, I opened the conversation. And yeah, that's where everything just completely fell apart. It wasn't just one message. It was pages of them. Weeks, maybe months. Flirting at first. Inside jokes I didn't understand. Nicknames I'd never heard her use. Then it escalated fast. Late night, I wish you were here messages. Complaints about me. About our marriage. That one hit harder than anything else. She doesn't even notice how lonely I am anymore. I literally had to sit down when I read that. Because I was right there. The whole time. Trying. Fixing things. Giving her space when she snapped. Being patient when she shut down. And she was telling someone else I didn't care. Then I kept scrolling. Photos. Nothing explicit, but enough. Selfies I'd never seen. Angles, expressions. A version of her I hadn't seen in a long time. And his replies. Yeah, no ambiguity there. They'd met up multiple times. That much was obvious. One message from a few nights ago. Same place next week? I'll tell him I'm with Anna again. That was it. That was the line that made everything click into place so violently it almost felt physical. Anna. The lies. The late nights. The attitude. The phone. The distance. All of it. I heard the shower turn off. Instant panic. I locked the phone, shoved it back into her bag exactly how I found it, and practically jumped onto the bed like I'd been sitting there the whole time. My heart was racing so fast I thought she'd hear it. She walked out a minute later, towel in her hair, completely relaxed. "Hey," she said, like everything was normal. "You okay? You look pale." And I just looked at her. This person I've been married to for 6 years. And for the first time, I felt like I was looking at a stranger. I forced a nod. "Yeah, just didn't sleep well." She shrugged, grabbed her main phone, and started scrolling like nothing in the world was wrong. Meanwhile, I'm sitting there with this massive, ugly truth sitting in my chest, trying not to explode. Because now I knew. Not suspected. Not worried. Knew. And the worst part? She was going to lie to my face about it again. I could already tell. I lasted maybe 6 hours. That's it. I told myself I'd wait, think it through, figure out what I actually wanted before blowing everything up. But once you know, there's no going back to normal. Every second around her felt fake. Every word out of her mouth sounded rehearsed. By the afternoon, I couldn't take it anymore. She was in the kitchen, casually making coffee like it was just another day, humming even, like nothing in the world was wrong. And I just snapped. "Who is he?" She froze. Not dramatically, just this tiny pause. Half a second. Then she turned around, eyebrows already furrowed like I was the problem. "What are you talking about?" There it was. Instantly. No confusion. "No, what do you mean?" In a genuine way. Just defense. I felt this mix of anger and disbelief surge up so fast I had to grip the back of a chair. "Don't do that," I said. "Don't lie to me. Not right now." Her expression hardened immediately. "I'm not lying. You're being weird again." Again. Like I was the unstable one. I actually laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was so absurd I didn't know what else to do. "I know about the other phone," I said. That landed. For real this time. Her face didn't just change. It tightened. Eyes flicked for a split second toward the bedroom. Then back to me. "What phone?" I swear. That almost broke me more than anything else. Even now. Even here. Still lying. "There's a second phone in your bag," I said, my voice shaking despite trying to stay calm. "I saw the messages." Silence. Heavy, suffocating silence. Then she exhaled sharply and rolled her eyes. "Oh my God," she muttered. "You went through my stuff?" And just like that, she flipped it. No denial about the phone anymore. No shock about what I found. Just straight to making me the problem. "Are you serious right now?" she continued, voice rising. "That's such a violation. I can't believe you'd do that." I felt like I was losing my mind. "You're cheating on me," I said. "And you're worried about privacy?" She scoffed. Actually scoffed. "You don't know what you're talking about." I stared at her. "You told him you missed him," I said quietly. "You said you'd tell me you were with Anna again." I saw it. Another pause. This one longer. And for a second, just a second, I thought she might finally crack. Admit it. Show something real. Instead, she crossed her arms and looked me dead in the eye. "You're twisting things you don't understand." That's when the anger really hit. Because at that point, it wasn't just the cheating. It was the audacity. The way she stood there, lying so confidently, like reality itself was optional. And I realized this wasn't going to be a simple conversation. This was going to be a war. I honestly didn't recognize her in that moment. Not just because of what she'd done, but because of how she was handling it. No guilt. No panic. No, okay, I messed up. Just deflection. Tech. Control. I felt like I was arguing with someone who had already decided the truth didn't matter. "You really want to do this?" I asked, my voice low, trying to keep it together. "You want to stand here and pretend I didn't see everything?" She shrugged. "I think you're jumping to conclusions," she said flatly. Grabbing her mug like this was just another minor disagreement. That did it. "His name," I said sharply. "The one in your messages. The one you're meeting at night. Who is he?" She took a sip of coffee. Actually took a sip. Then set the mug down slowly, like she was deciding how much effort I was worth. "He's a friend." I just stared at her. "A friend," I repeated. "You tell your friend tonight was worth every risk?" She rolled her eyes again. You're cherry-picking messages without context. Without context. I felt this surge of anger so strong it almost made my vision blur. Okay, I said, nodding slowly. Give me the context. Explain it. She hesitated, not because she didn't know what to say, but because she was choosing the version of the story she wanted. Then, I've been unhappy, she said, suddenly softer. For a long time. And yeah, that hit. Of course it did. Because now it wasn't about what she did, it was about why I deserved it. You didn't listen to me, she continued. You stopped paying attention. You think just being there is enough. But it's not. I shook my head. That's not an excuse to cheat. I didn't cheat, she snapped immediately. The softness gone just as fast as it appeared. There it was again. Deny, redirect, redefine reality. So meeting him in secret, lying about where you are, messaging him like that. What is that? I asked. She crossed her arms tighter. I needed someone to talk to. I actually laughed again. But this time it came out bitter. Right? And the second phone is for what? Extra talking? Her jaw tightened. You're blowing this out of proportion. At this point, I felt something inside me start to crack. Not explode, not collapse, just shift. Because I realized something really important, really fast. She wasn't going to tell the truth. Not because she couldn't. Because she wouldn't. No matter what I showed her, no matter what I said. She would twist it, downplay it, or flat out deny it. And suddenly, I wasn't just arguing about cheating anymore. I was arguing about reality itself. And I was losing. Not because I was wrong, but because she refused to play by the same rules. I took a step back, ran a hand over my face, and just exhaled. Okay, I said quietly. She looked at me, suspicious. Okay, what? I met her eyes. Okay. Now I understand who I'm talking to. And for the first time since this started, she didn't have an immediate response. But I wasn't done. Not even close. Something changed in me after that. Up until that point, I was reacting, chasing answers, trying to get her to admit something, trying to make it all make sense. But standing there, looking at her, I realized I was playing a game I couldn't win. So I stopped. Not dramatically. Not in some I'm done speech. I just shifted. All right, I said, calmer than I felt. Let's try something simple. She narrowed her eyes, clearly not trusting the sudden change in tone. What? Show me the phone. Immediate tension. Her posture stiffened. What phone? There it was again. Same script. The one in your bag, I said. Just show it to me. She let out an exaggerated sigh, like I was exhausting her. This is ridiculous. Then it should be easy to prove me wrong, I replied. Silence. I could actually see her thinking, calculating, weighing options. And that's when it hit me. She wasn't deciding whether to tell the truth. She was deciding which lie would work best. I don't have to prove anything to you, she said finally. That sentence landed harder than anything else so far. Because that's when it stopped being denial and started being power. You're my wife, I said, my voice quieter now but sharper. Yeah, you do. She shook her head. No, I don't have to feed your paranoia. Paranoia. I almost smiled at that. Not because it was funny, but because it was so perfectly on brand for what she'd been doing. Rewrite reality. Make me the unstable one. Okay, I said slowly. Then at least be honest about one thing. She didn't respond, but she didn't walk away either. Are you seeing him? I asked. Yes or no? A long pause. Then she looked me straight in the eyes and said, no, just no. No hesitation, no emotion, nothing. And I knew it was a lie, not because of intuition, because I had literally read the messages. That's when something inside me finally snapped. Not outwardly, not yelling or breaking things, but internally. A kind of quiet breaking. Because how do you argue with someone who can look you in the eye and deny something you both know is true? You don't. You can't. So instead of yelling, instead of pushing harder, I just nodded. Got it, I said. She looked almost relieved, like she thought she'd won something. Good, she replied. Because I'm done with this conversation. And just like that, she grabbed her coffee and walked past me. Like it was over. Like nothing had just happened. I stood there for a few seconds, listening to her footsteps fade into the other room. And in that silence, something settled in my chest. Not anger, not even sadness. Clarity. Because for the first time since this started, I wasn't confused anymore. She had just told me exactly who she was. And more importantly, what I meant to her. I didn't follow her. That alone felt weird. Old me? I would have chased the conversation, tried to fix it, tried to get some kind of resolution before the day ended. But this time, I just stayed where I was, quiet, thinking, because something finally clicked in a way it hadn't before. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't poor communication. This was deliberate. She knew I knew, or at least strongly suspected, and she still chose to lie. Calmly, repeatedly, without hesitation. That's not panic. That's a pattern. About an hour later, she came back into the room like nothing happened. Are you seriously still sulking? She asked, annoyed. Sulking. I looked at her and almost didn't respond. Felt pointless. But I did anyway. I'm not sulking, I said. I'm processing the fact that my wife just lied to my face multiple times. She rolled her eyes again. You're obsessed with this narrative. Narrative. I actually let out a slow breath and nodded. Okay, I said. Let's test that. She frowned slightly. Test what? Without saying another word, I walked past her, into the bedroom, and grabbed her bag. I heard her footsteps immediately behind me. What are you doing? Her tone sharpened fast. I didn't answer. I reached inside, pulled out the second phone, and held it up between us. There it was. No denying it now. For a split second, her face dropped. Not dramatically, just a crack in the mask. Then it snapped right back into place. That's not what you think, she said quickly. Of course it isn't. Then tell me what it is, I replied, my voice steady. She crossed her arms. It's for work. I blinked. For work, I repeated. Yeah. I held the phone up slightly. No lock? Messaging apps open? Tonight was worth every risk. Is what? A performance review. Her jaw tightened. You went through my private messages. That's the issue here. I actually laughed. Full, disbelieving laugh this time. No, I said. That's not the issue. That's just how I found out about the real issue. She stepped closer, trying to take the phone from my hand. Give it back. I pulled it slightly away. Not yet. And that's when things escalated fast. Are you serious right now? She snapped. You're acting insane. There it is again, I said quietly. I'm insane. I'm paranoid. I'm imagining things. Because you are, she shot back. I shook my head slowly. No, I'm reacting to reality. We just stood there, a few feet apart, tension so thick it felt like the air was heavy. Then I did something I hadn't planned. I unlocked the phone, opened the conversation, and read one of the messages out loud. I hate lying to him, but I can't stop seeing you. Silence. Real silence this time. Not the tense kind. Not the defensive kind. The kind where there's nowhere left to hide. I looked up at her, and for the first time, she didn't have an immediate comeback. That silence? It didn't last long. It never does with her. She blinked once, twice, like her brain was scrambling to catch up, and then, just like every other time, she pivoted. You're taking that out of context, she said. I just stared at her. There was this weird moment where I genuinely wondered if she believed her own words. Like, was this denial for me or for herself? Out of context, I repeated slowly. Okay, then give me the context. She exhaled sharply, clearly irritated now. I was venting, she said. People say things when they're emotional. That doesn't mean anything actually happened. I felt my grip on the phone tighten. So you're telling him you can't stop seeing him, but nothing's happening? Yes, she snapped like that made perfect sense. I shook my head, almost in disbelief. Then why lie? I asked. Why the second phone? Why the fake Anna nights? Why all of it? She hesitated again, just a flicker before answering. Because you overreact, she said. There it was. Everything somehow always came back to me. I let out a slow breath. No, I said quietly. I'm reacting exactly how someone would react to being lied to and cheated on. I didn't cheat. She fired back immediately, louder now. The denial again. Stronger this time. Then define what you did, I said. Because whatever it is, it sure as hell isn't okay. She ran a hand through her hair, pacing a little now. Not nervous, just frustrated. I needed space, she said. I needed someone who actually listens without turning everything into a problem. That stung. Not because it was true, but because she'd been building this narrative about me behind my back. You didn't give me a chance to listen, I replied. You just checked out and replaced me. I didn't replace you, she said quickly. I raised an eyebrow. Really? She opened her mouth, then stopped. And in that pause, everything she wasn't saying spoke louder than anything else. I looked down at the phone again, scrolled a little. More messages, more plans, more lies. My chest felt heavy, not explosive anymore, just weighted. You know what the worst part is? I said, my voice quieter now. She didn't respond. It's not even the messages, I continued. It's how easy this is for you, how normal it seems. She scoffed softly. You're being dramatic. That word, dramatic. Something about it just drained the last bit of energy I had to argue. Because how do you fight someone who minimizes everything like that? I set the phone down on the table between us. I'm not being dramatic, I said. I'm waking up. She frowned slightly. What is that supposed to mean? I looked at her, really looked this time. Not as my wife. Not as the person I've been trying to protect this whole time. Just as someone showing me exactly who they are. It means I'm starting to see this clearly, I said. And for the first time since this all started, she looked just a little bit unsure. That tiny flicker of uncertainty on her face, it was gone almost instantly, like it never happened. She straightened up, crossed her arms again. Back to that defensive, sharp version of herself I'd been dealing with all day. See what clearly? She asked, almost challenging me. I didn't answer right away, because the truth was, I was still putting it together myself. But the feeling was there, solid and undeniable. I see that you're not going to be honest with me, I said finally. No matter what I show you. She rolled her eyes. Or maybe I'm just not going to agree with your version of reality. There it was again, that twist. Your truth versus my truth. As if facts were optional. I nodded slowly. Right? Your reality where none of this means anything. I never said that, she snapped. You don't have to, I replied. You just keep minimizing everything. She let out an annoyed sigh. Because you're blowing it up into something it's not. I actually felt a tired smile pull at my face. You literally told someone you can't stop seeing them, I said. You lied about where you were, created an entire second life. But yeah, I'm the one exaggerating. She didn't respond to that directly. Instead, she pivoted again, different angle this time. So what, you're perfect? She shot back. You've never ignored me? Never made me feel like I don't matter? And there it was. The shift from defense to attack. I saw it coming this time. This isn't about me being perfect, I said. It's about you being honest. You forced this, she said, pointing at me. If you actually paid attention to me, I wouldn't have needed to find someone else to talk to. That sentence landed hard. Not because it made sense, but because it was so deliberate. A justification. I took a step back, shaking my head slowly. No, I said. You made that choice. She laughed short, sharp, almost mocking. Of course you'd say that. I didn't argue, because honestly, I was starting to feel something new. Not anger, not confusion, distance. Like I was slowly stepping outside of the situation, seeing it from a different angle. You know what's crazy? I said quietly. She looked at me, clearly expecting another accusation. I probably would have tried to work through this, I continued. If you had just been honest from the start. That caught her off guard. Just for a second. What? She asked. Yeah, I said. If you had come to me and said you were unhappy, even if you'd admitted there was someone else, I would have at least respected the honesty. She scoffed, but it sounded weaker this time. Right? I'm serious, I said. We could have had an actual conversation. Maybe fix things. Maybe not. But at least it would have been real. Silence. Then I gestured lightly toward the phone on the table. But this, I said, the lying, the hiding, the constant twisting of everything, that's what's killing it. She didn't respond immediately, and in that pause, I realized something that hit even harder than everything else so far. She wasn't sorry. Not for what she did. Not for how it affected me. She was just annoyed she got caught. And weirdly, that hurt more than the messages ever could. Because at least the messages had some kind of emotion in them. This felt empty. And I think that's when I started letting go, even if I didn't fully admit it to myself yet. The rest of that day, I don't even fully remember it. I went through the motions. Work, errands, coffee. Everything felt gray, like the world had lost its color. Every time I thought about her, my chest tightened, not in a fiery rage, but in this hollow, sinking kind of way. She acted completely normal at home, smiling, joking, scrolling her phone, like nothing had happened. I watched her and it was surreal. The person I loved, the person I thought I could trust. Right there, sitting next to me, and yet completely unreachable. I tried to talk to her again later that evening, cautiously. I wanted to understand, maybe even salvage something. Do you feel anything about all this? I asked quietly, carefully, like walking on glass. She paused, long enough for hope to flicker. I feel stressed, she said finally, because you won't let things go. That's when it hit me. She wasn't stressed about what she did. She wasn't remorseful, embarrassed, guilty, or even sad. She was stressed that I knew and wouldn't just accept her version of reality. I felt my stomach twist. I'm not asking you to let me go, I said, voice trembling a little. I'm asking you to be honest. For once. She tilted her head, that familiar sharp smirk forming. Honest? About what? Couldn't believe it. She genuinely didn't see anything wrong. Or she refused to. I sat back, feeling this crushing weight of disappointment. For the first time in years, I realized that I wasn't just dealing with infidelity. I was dealing with someone who could lie without remorse, who could manipulate the truth, and, worst of all, who might never see the harm they'd done. I didn't argue. I didn't yell. I just sat there, numb. Because no words could fix this. No reasoning could reach her. And at that moment, a terrifying thought settled in my chest. I had to decide if I wanted to keep living like this. In a marriage where reality itself could be denied at any moment. I didn't have an answer yet, but I knew I couldn't stay in limbo forever. It was the beginning of the hardest, loneliest process of my life. Figuring out what to do next. That night, I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the messages again. Heard her words twisting around themselves. Felt that hollow weight in my chest. I realized I was grieving something I hadn't even admitted was gone yet. The marriage I thought I had. The trust one thought existed. The person I thought she was. By morning, I decided I needed space. Not dramatic, just distance. Something to think without her influence. I'm going for a walk, I said casually, trying to sound normal. She glanced up from her phone, eyes narrowing. Alone? She asked, suspicious. Yeah, I said, already putting on my shoes. Outside, I wandered aimlessly. Streets I'd walked 100 times felt foreign. Even the coffee shop I loved felt strange. Every little thing reminded me of her lies. I started thinking about the pattern, about how long it had been going on, about how easily she lied, how confidently she hid things, how quickly she turned everything on me whenever I questioned her. And that's when the anger came back. Not the fiery, screaming kind, but the quiet, simmering kind that burrows into your chest and won't leave. I realized something painful. I could never go back to the way things were. Even if she suddenly became honest, even if she apologized 100 times, the damage was already done. The betrayal wasn't just the messages or the secret meetings. It was the way she'd denied reality, the way she'd made me question myself, the way she'd rewritten our life for months without me knowing. And the worst part? I loved her, still do, in a way that terrifies me. I kept walking, trying to make sense of it all, trying to figure out what I actually wanted. Because deep down, I knew I had a choice. Stay and fight for something that might never be real again, or leave and try to heal. For the first time in years, I didn't know which was harder. But I knew one thing for certain. I couldn't stay blind. Not anymore. Over the next few days, I kept a distance. Not dramatic. I still came home, still made dinner sometimes, still said normal things. But inside, I was a storm. I watched her closely, looking for anything real. A hint of guilt, a crack in her facade, some sign she cared about how much she'd hurt me. Nothing. She went on with her life like nothing happened. Humming while cooking, texting, scrolling, laughing at things that weren't funny. Like the betrayal had never occurred. And that's when the exhaustion hit me. Not just physical, the emotional kind that seeps into your bones. I realized I couldn't keep chasing answers from someone who refused to give them. I couldn't keep explaining why her behavior was wrong to someone who could twist reality so effortlessly. So I started thinking long-term, hard, honest. Could I trust her again? Could I believe anything she said? Could I see a future with someone who could look me in the eye, lie, and act like it was normal? The answer kept coming back the same way every time I asked myself. No. And it wasn't just about the cheating. It was about the pattern, the repeated lies, the gaslighting, the emotional distance that had grown over months, maybe years. I realized something else too. Staying would mean choosing to live in a version of life where my feelings didn't matter, where reality itself was negotiable. And as much as it hurt, as much as I loved her, I couldn't do that. I knew what I had to do, not impulsively, not in a rage, but clearly, decisively. It was time to end the lie, time to reclaim my reality, time to leave. And for the first time since discovering the messages, that decision didn't feel heavy. Felt like breathing, like finally opening my eyes after being underwater too long. Because no matter how sharp she was, no matter how convincingly she lied, she couldn't take that clarity from me. It was mine, and I wasn't going to give it back. I started making plans quietly. Not dramatic, I'm leaving tonight plans. Just small, careful steps. I cleared a folder on my laptop, started looking at apartments, made calls to friends I hadn't talked to in months. Things that reminded me I still had a life outside of her. The day I finally told her, I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just sat her down and spoke plainly. I can't do this anymore, I said. Not the lies. Not the secrecy. Not the constant twisting of reality. I love you, but I can't live like this. She blinked. Pause. Then that familiar sharp edge returned. You're overreacting, she said flatly. You're blowing this up. No, I said calmly. I'm seeing it clearly now, and I can't ignore it. She scoffed, crossed her arms, and muttered something about dramatic reactions again. But this time, I didn't let it get under my skin. I didn't argue. I didn't defend myself, because it didn't matter anymore. I explained that I'd be moving out soon, taking time to process, to heal, to rebuild my life. Her reaction? Mild irritation. Not begging. Not remorse. Just annoyed that I was taking action instead of letting her version of reality stand. And for the first time in years, I felt free. Not happy. Not completely healed. But free. I didn't hate her. I didn't need revenge. I just let go. I left with my dignity intact, my boundaries clear, and a sense of self I hadn't felt in months. For the first time, I realized that sometimes love isn't enough. Not when honesty and respect are absent. It hurt like hell, but it also taught me something important. I deserve to be seen. I deserve the truth. And I will never settle for less again. Because at some point, the lies aren't just about betrayal, they're about losing yourself. And I wasn't going to lose me. It's been a few months since I moved out. The house feels emptier, quieter, and honestly, a little lighter. I won't lie, the loneliness hits sometimes. I miss the routines we had, the small moments of comfort, even her voice. But I've realized that what I missed was the idea of her, not the reality. Therapy helped. Friends helped. Journaling helped. Most of all, reclaiming my own space helped me start to untangle the anger, the betrayal, and the grief. I've learned a lot from this. If someone repeatedly lies to you, it's not a phase or miscommunication. It's a pattern. Love doesn't fix dishonesty. Honesty and respect do. Without them, it's a sinking ship. Trust your gut. If something feels off, it probably is. Don't let someone convince you that your instincts are paranoia. You can love someone and still choose to leave. Loving someone doesn't mean you owe them your peace or sanity. My advice to anyone in a similar situation: pay attention to the red flags early. Don't ignore your intuition. And remember, walking away isn't giving up. It's choosing yourself. I don't know what the future holds, and I'm not ready to date again. But I do know one thing. I won't compromise my sense of reality for anyone ever again. And as painful as it was, I finally feel like I can breathe. Sometimes the hardest thing is the most